I'm with Representative Brad Knott. President Trump, in his speech, talked about how the hurricanes affected your state of North Carolina and how the Biden Harris administration handled that. What are your thoughts?
You know, I was able to go with President Trump when we all went down to the western part of North Carolina on Friday. And it was the first time I had really gone to that area in quite some time. And I was astounded at how little progress had been made. You know, we had gotten reports that FEMA was on the ground, that the state had been on the ground, and there had been a lot of work done. But if you had told me that the hurricane had come through 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would have believed it. You know, the progress has been far too slow. The bureaucracy has been stifling. And rather than facilitating recovery, I think President Trump has really identified an issue that resonates with the people on the ground. It's certainly consistent with what we heard on the ground, that rather than facilitating recovery, the bureaucracy and the snail's pace has really discouraged a lot of people. And on the encouraging side, we heard story after story that it was not the federal government, it was not the state government, it was neighbors and people from all over North Carolina that had really banded together and sent support to these affected folks. And these are wonderful, wonderful, selfless people. And President Trump spoke to them, he listened to them, we were all there, and it was a real sobering moment, but I think there's a real, at the same time, focus to get the red tape out of there and to incentivize immediate progress. That's what I hope we can deliver.
He floated the idea of getting rid of FEMA. Do you agree that there might be a better way to deal with disasters in states like North Carolina and California?
Uh, you know, the devil's always in the details, but when you look at what FEMA has done in North Carolina, there's been a lot of effort and money that's been spent in a very inefficient and ineffective way. And unfortunately, that's how far too many bureaucratic mechanisms work. You spend a lot of money and no movement. And you know, whether it's anecdotal stories about a hotel that's being filled up with FEMA workers and not residents, that's a pretty good example about how the bureaucracy feeds itself rather than the citizens who fund it with their tax dollars. So if there is a way that we could follow what Trump described as basically a block grant to the states or even more locally to the counties and let them develop their own infrastructure models and recovery efforts, I think that would probably be a more effective way to distribute aid if we're going to be handing out the recovery dollars requested. Going directly to those affected might be a more effective way to do that.
A big topic of this GOP Issues Conference in Miami is the upcoming budget reconciliation. Different strategies have been laid forward. What do you think is the best path for budget reconciliation?
You know, I've been in Congress now for 2.5 weeks, so I obviously don't have the silver bullet, so to speak. But I think that the best way that we can go forward, at least from the House's perspective, is less tied to either one or two bills, but more tied to the issues in the bill or the bills. And the American people sent us to Washington. They sent Trump back to Washington, and they delivered a Senate based off of common sense that seems to be so lacking in Washington, D.C., whether it's with the open borders that we've seen, all of the dollars that have been soaked up for various odds and ends that benefit only Washington and not the average taxpayer, whether it's renegotiating and passing the tax cuts. If we don't do that, that's almost, I believe, a several $1 trillion at least, maybe $5 or $6 trillion tax increase for all Americans. So getting our economy jump-started, taming regulations, boosting innovation, boosting individuals' abilities to keep our own dollars in our own pockets, securing the border, those are all things that I think will really enable us to be streamlined and get this thing across the finish line faster. I'm not as worried about one or two bills. That's way above my pay grade. But if we get the issues right and the policy right, it'll go quick, I hope.
What's it like to be a freshman congressman in this second Trump term, what he's calling the golden age?
You know, I as a prosecutor, I decided to run based off of what I saw in the previous administration. Open borders and illegal immigration touched every corner of our country, and the cases that I had, it really gave me a unique viewpoint to see how direct the cost is to the American citizen, whether it was education, whether it was health care, whether it was housing, whether it was crime. There really was not a positive effect to the open border. It was all detrimental. And coming in with the House and the Senate and the White House and having a real opportunity to enact change that I think is beneficial It's humbling, it's exciting, and I hope and pray that we'll be able to deliver.
Deportations have been a big topic lately. Some people were sent to Colombia, they were rejected, then some tariffs were thrown on the table, and they were then accepted, those people. What are your thoughts on the way deportations have been going and Trump's ability to move very quickly on keeping that campaign promise?
You know, deportations are just one tool of many that we're going to have to leverage to secure our border and to disincentivize people from coming here illegally. For years, there has been absolutely no fear of our immigration laws. There has been no fear of coming here illegally, and there has been only benefit. I mean, when you can come here illegally and you can secure benefits in the form of food, housing, healthcare, education for your children, whatever it may be, there needs to be a clawback, so to speak, so that the American citizens and legal immigrants are protected and that they're the ones that we, the government, serve. And the people that are being prioritized right now, they are the most dangerous. They are the most vile. We have seen child predators. We have seen people that have 15-plus felony convictions, all who are here illegally. And the cost to our society, to our neighborhoods, our schools, it's immeasurable. So I fully support targeting these deportations effectively, efficiently, on a broad scale, especially towards those who are the most dangerous. And then I also support changing the laws to make it more punitive for people who want to be here and commit crimes. So President Trump is operating the levers that he has, and I think he's doing it effectively. And from what I've seen, all the people who he is targeting right now are the most dangerous and those who need to get out of here the soonest.